Hi, everybody. Excited about going from game one Monday to game two tonight, and the intentionality that our guys took the last couple of days in practice to prepare. There was a respect level for Rider. It's a team that's picked to win their league and started all seniors. And so we knew that we had to come in with a level of focus. I thought our starting group did a great job beginning the game with very good focus and connectivity. Stevie was terrific. Even though he got in foul trouble, he really sparked us to start the game. And then I really thought everyone came in and contributed in different ways. At the same time, on the defensive end, there's a lot of possessions where we do like 80 to 90% of the things we need to do right. And that's not good enough. You got to do 100%. But it's November 10th, and that's the exciting thing is we're nowhere near our upper limits, and we want to keep working to grow.
Shaka, Tyler left with 8 minutes left. What was the status update that you got after the game about him?
He turned his ankle. He stepped on someone's foot. The status update from him was, I'll be fine. But he did turn his ankle, and right away he was like, he subbed himself out. So we'll see, how it responds. He'll get treatment. Knowing Tyler, he's a guy that he'll find a way to be on the floor when he needs to be on the floor. But we'll see how his ankle responds over the next couple of days.
You said after Monday's game that you wanted to work through those rotations, those 10 guys that you're playing most of the time. What'd you learn about your team and as far as lineup combinations this time around?
Still learning, TBD. I think the biggest thing in terms of lineups that I take out of the first two games is that we can play a lot of different lineups. And we have different groups that maybe don't play together as much in practice, but you can throw them out there. And particularly offensively, they fit really, really well together. The end we got to figure out is what are our best defensive lineups, and when player A is in with player B but without player C, how do we overcome not having player C in the game and still get a stop or still get a rebound? And I think everything on defense for us starts with Oso. I think that he did a lot of great things tonight, and it's important for him to choose to see the good as well as the areas where he wants to improve. But I think he does have another notch of nastiness, aggressiveness in him on the defensive end that we're going to help him access.
Shaka, you talked about how you were happy with the start that your team had. Joplin was 3 for 3 from deep to start off. What did you see from him that you liked, and what do you make of his overall performance tonight?
Yeah, Jop and Cam got up 18 threes between them, and could have been a lot more. Those guys played 20 and 24 minutes. I think in a closer game, they probably would have been more like 28 and 32. We like them shooting open threes. That's a good possession for us when they shoot an open three. So for them to go 8 for 18 combined, we'll take that all day long. I still want to see out of both those guys more leadership on the defensive end. I think, again, they had some really good possessions. They had some possessions where their activity was terrific, but we got to continue to build the consistency. And that's not just those guys. That's our whole team.
So, Shaka, you have this 3 freshman rotation that you're working in these games, and in these first 2 games, there's been big point differentials. Of course, that gives you the opportunity to work these guys in more. How much or how often are you going to keep doing that in these games, and how often are you going to work them in?
It's a good question. The thing with freshmen is they need a runway to become who they're going to become. It's a very, very rare freshman that you just throw him out there and he is who you need him to be. Guys need time. You look at our older guys, Oso Ighodaro needed time, Cam Jones needed time, Stevie Mitchell needed time, David Joplin needed time. But I think, when you play those guys and you get them some minutes in games like these, it does inch them forward. On Tuesday we go on the road against a top 25 team that's a talented, older, tough, experienced team. And those freshmen are going to have to decide, can I go in the game and play with a defensive toughness and assertiveness and aggressiveness where I not only won't hurt my team, but I'll help my team. And if they can do that, then I'll put them in. And if they can't, then they won't.
Shaka, you said after the game against NIU on Monday that you guys didn't play a 40 minutes of complete basketball. Do you think the team inched closer to that tonight? And how are they going to get to that 40 minutes of complete basketball, knowing the schedule that you have coming up? What is it going to take to make sure that they play as close to 40 minutes of perfect basketball as they can?
Yeah, one thing about the schedule, a lot of people keep bringing that up to me. We knew way back last spring when we scheduled the games that we scheduled that it was going to be extremely challenging, competitive, and we were going to play a lot of teams that are not only NCAA tournament caliber teams, but teams that have a chance to advance the second weekend or further. But you know what? You only got to play one game at a time, and so our focus going into today was all about Rider. I guess a less mature, less respectful group could have looked past this game tonight and focused on Tuesday. Our guys did not do that. Now that this game is over, we can shift our attention to going on the road to Illinois, and that's where 1,000% of our focus will go. The schedule beyond that is tough, but we're really not focused on it right now. And it doesn't really matter who else we're playing. When you talk about November, December, and even later in the season, the key is growth. And if Marquette can make growth, both individually, each of our players individually, and then our team as a whole on the offensive and defensive end, and also culturally, we'll be fine. We'll win our fair share of games. Will we win every single game? Probably not. I mean, it's not. College basketball is one where, a lot of these games you go into and you got good players and a good program, and so do they. And it's going to be a war and a battle down to the very end, and it'll probably be close in the last 4 minutes. And, we're thankful, grateful to get a chance to be part of those wars.
Hey, Coach, congrats on the win. You mentioned earlier about that growth and being ready. Cam mentioned that earlier, too. He prided himself on personally being able to be ready and throughout the organization prepping the team to be ready. How do you think that differs, getting some of these younger kids, the freshmen, to be ready versus the kids that have been doing it for years?
Well, when you're a freshman, you don't even know what readiness is. You think you're ready,
Right.
but you're not ready. And it's actually the number one thing that we start off with, going way back to the summer with these guys. We have a concept in our program, First Team Ready. And there's ready with a capital R, and there's ready with a lowercase r. Ready with a capital R is globally, you walk into the arena, you have your uniform on, and your mind, your body, your soul are prepared and ready to do whatever comes your way. And then there's ready with the lowercase r, and that's when the shot goes up, you're ready to block out your man. On the out-of-bounds play, you're ready to defeat the screen. When we're sprinting down the other end, you're ready to do what's next. You're ready to make the next cut. All the little details. And so freshmen typically come in struggling to be ready both ways. But the best experience, the best teacher is experience. So those guys have a couple games now under their belt. Trey Norman is our most mature, advanced freshman, and he was looking at me out there when a play didn't go his way, and he's like, "I got you, I got it." So he's learning, and again, this is something that these guys got to go through. You know, the challenging thing is when you're in a possession game. Tonight wasn't a possession game. Monday night wasn't a possession game. When you're in those closer games, you know, how much opportunity do you give them to learn versus trying to win that possession?
Chase had a couple highlight blocks today. I know you talk about him being a dude all the time, but has his play so far this season even exceeded what you thought he was going to do?
No, I mean, Chase is capable of even more. I mean, I'm not disappointed. I'm happy. I love Chase. And Chase is a guy that you really could play him 40 minutes a game because he's like a security blanket for your team, having him out there on the floor. But I think he has more in him. I think he has more. I think he has another level of dog. I think he has another level of communication. He's still learning a lot of things on the offensive end in terms of where he can be effective. I mean, he went from being a guy last year that really his role was kind of to blend and be ready to shoot, but mostly, you know, kind of stay out of the way when other guys were making plays. And now he's a guy that, you know, he can attack and he can make plays for us. But really happy with where he is, and at the same time excited to see him. He should be a different player 2 months from now than he is right now.
23 assists for you guys today. What do you like about the way your team is sharing the ball?
I thought our guys moved the ball well. I thought in the second half there was 2 or 3 shots that, you know, weren't exactly how we would draw it up, but that's pretty good for a 40-minute game. And I thought our guys shared the ball. You know, listen, when your leaders are Oso Ighodaro and Tyler Kolek and the way that they pass, it's contagious. And we talk a lot about EGBs. The number one EGB is passing. And the number one EZB, energy zapping behavior, is not passing when you should pass. And that's a universal basketball concept, whether you call it an EGB or not. We've all been on teams where the ball's sticky and it doesn't seem to move as much as it should. It's no fun. And the opposite of that is that thing's popping around, guys are sharing the ball, and it makes the game more of a team game, which is what we all signed up